All right, y'all, as promised, we need to react to this. This is from a channel by the name of Insane. It's a series of channels that talk about some of the literature of some of the greatest philosophers ever and leaders like Machiavelli and Arthur Schopenhauer. And I know about these guys. But we're going to react to a video that he put up where he just talked about female nature. And female nature, this video is entitled Female Nature is One of the Most Misunderstood Aspects of the Breakdown of Dating, Marriage, Divorce. You have it. So let's go.
You're about to enter a forbidden zone. Here the truth doesn't come sugar-coated. It arrives raw, heavy, and sharp. The type of woman we're about to analyze in this video perfectly embodies the profile that ruins men, yet is still idolized by confused boys who mistake instability for intensity.
So he started out right out the rip, cooking. Like, it's a difference between a man's understanding and a boy's understanding of female nature. Sometimes even we grown men misread and misunderstand female nature.
She claims to be mature but remains trapped in the emotional rubble of her own past. She says she wants a partner, but deep down what she seeks is an emotional servant.
Okay, we got to go back to this. We're going to be stopping, we're going to be going back, and sometimes we're going to let it ride. But I want you to hear something he said. I want to highlight it again.
Listen. Sharp. The type of woman we're about to analyze in this video perfectly embodies the profile that ruins men.
Yet
is still idolized by confused boys who mistake instability for intensity. She claims to be mature but remains
This is the woman that ruins man, like he said, claims to be mature,
trapped in the emotional rubble of her own past.
But remains trapped in the emotional rubble of her own past. Trapped in the emotional rubble of her own past. Trapped in childhood trauma. Trapped in who touched her, who cheated on her, who this, who that. She says she wants a partner.
But deep down, what she seeks is an emotional servant. Someone to pay the bills, feed her emotional voids, and smile through it all. She cries, blames her ex, points to her childhood, accuses the world, but never faces her own reflection. The most concerning part?
This dude.
Many men still try to save this kind of woman, but this video...
Try to save this kind of woman.
Isn't for the saviors. It's for men who've learned to recognize female profiles that don't deserve emotional investment. Not attention, not patience, not explanations.
I gotta just let it go for a minute.
Everything this type of woman touches, she destroys. And it's not out of malice, it's due to her own dysfunctional emotional structure.
Yeah,
our channel
a lot of them don't try to do it on purpose.
To keep this kind of conversation alive and accessible. We speak clearly and directly because we believe this dialogue matters. Even with the natural obstacles and limitations of the platforms, we remain committed. The movement continues. Male awakening is an ongoing process. Every man who sees beyond the expected script helps others rethink the role we were taught to play.
And that's what they get mad at me over. They saying, who hurt you? You need therapy. You sound broken. But man, y'all got to realize, man, that for a while I've been listening to philosophers. I've been reading the Bible. The Most High been showing me stuff most importantly. But like he said, they just want somebody to pay their bill. Got to pay their bill. That song been in my heart. I put it on the video earlier and I just was laughing, man. I was watching the video with Destiny's Child. So one more time, let's go back for you to hear this again. And I'm just going to let it play out.
But never faces her own reflection. The most concerning part? Many men still try to save this kind of woman, but this video isn't for the saviors. It's for men who've learned to recognize female profiles that don't deserve emotional investment. Not attention, not patience, not explanations. Everything this type of woman touches, she destroys. And it's not out of malice, it's due to her own dysfunctional emotional structure.
This could
Our
help
channel
y'all
faces
women too.
constant challenges to keep this kind of conversation alive and accessible.
I guess he hurt too. He hurt too. Now let's go back a little bit more. And what we're going to do this time is I'm going to let y'all hear the part he just said. And then I'm going to let you hear the previous part. Then I'm going to comment. And then after that, we're going to let it rise some more.
Remains trapped in the emotional rubble of her own past. She says she wants a partner, but deep down what she seeks is an emotional servant. Someone to pay the bills, feed her emotional voids, and smile through it all. She cries, blames her ex, points to her childhood, accuses the world, but never faces her own reflection. The most concerning part? Many men still try to save this kind of woman, but this video isn't for the saviors. It's for men who've learned to recognize female profiles that don't deserve emotional investment. Not attention, not patience, not explanations. Everything this type of woman touches, she destroys. And it's not out of malice, it's due to her own dysfunctional emotional structure. Our channel faces constant challenges to keep this kind of conversation alive and accessible. We speak clearly and directly because we believe this dialogue matters. Even with
Fair use.
the natural obstacles and limitations of the platforms, we remain committed. The movement continues. Male awakening is an ongoing process. Every man who sees beyond the expected script helps others rethink the role we were taught to play. And to those constantly demanding explanations, this channel is not your father. Take what resonates and discard the rest. We're in a symbolic war, and those on the front lines can't afford to debate every shot fired. You either understand the battlefield, or you get left behind.
Or you get left behind. You either understand or you get left behind. Dude gonna come on there and tell me, well, I got halfway through the video, but you need it. Now listen, you notice I ain't respond, but I'm gonna talk about it because he's talking about it. I'm not finna respond to every shot fired.
There's no room for sentimentalism here. What you're about to see is the dissection of a female profile that operates like an emotional virus. It enters, manipulates, drains, destroys, and then blames you. This channel isn't mine, it's ours. We're building a community of lucid, critical, and symbolically aware men. If you've made
Lucid,
it
we
this
gotta be
far,
lucid.
it's because something inside you has already begun to see what few have had the courage to reveal. Share, comment, make noise. What we're about to show is exactly what separates conscious men from boys, still trapped in illusions. As Freud once said, what you don't work through, you repeat. And here our mission
What you don't work through, you repeat.
is to break the cycle, to clearly recognize the kind of woman a wise man learns to reject. The first trait of this profile,
He's saying reject these type.
the professional victim. This woman doesn't engage in relationships, she accuses. Always wounded, always exhausted, always center stage in an emotional theater that only she believes is real. She turns any disagreement into symbolic violence. Every boundary a man sets becomes abuse. Any no is interpreted as neglect.
I can dress the way I want to. You know, you insecure.
She lives in a constant psychological courtroom, where the man is always on trial.
Always
She
on
plays the
trial,
role
trying to
of the
prove
wronged
himself,
goddess.
prove his innocence. I wasn't looking at her. Man, no, I wasn't.
Are you looking for gentle wellness
Yeah, I know we're
support
gonna
for your
have
dog?
ads.
Does your dog seem to need extra support?
We're gonna let him get
Does
his
your dog
ad
need a little
on.
extra help?
Is always on trial, and she plays the role of the wronged goddess. Freud already pointed it out. There is a certain pleasure that arises from one's own suffering. And it's exactly this twisted pleasure that fuels the woman who lives in the role of the victim. She feeds on pity, on empathy, on attention,
Oh
as if
my
these
God.
emotions were fuel to keep alive an identity shaped by unprocessed trauma.
Okay,
She does
this is true. This is true. You can't look. This is why you need to vet them out and find out what happened to them and how they feel about it now. Because watch this. any woman that respects a person that caused trauma, if you don't cause trauma, you boring. This is basically what he's saying. But I'm giving my commentary on it as well. It's fair use. We're going to keep repeating it so you can play the video all the way through. I'm giving you a chance to hear it again. In fact, the video, if you want to see it without my commentary, Freud denounces the female profile that every experienced man learns to reject. See, a lot of dudes ain't going to speed dating. They ain't going to the club because they got burned and they learning to reject these type of women. Let's go back. Okay, we're right here.
And here our mission is to break the cycle, to clearly recognize the kind of woman a wise man learns to reject. The first trait of this profile, the professional victim. This woman doesn't engage in relationships. She accuses. Always wounded, always exhausted, always center stage in an emotional theater that only she believes is real. She turns any disagreement into symbolic violence. Every boundary a man sets becomes abuse. Any no is interpreted as neglect. She lives in a constant psychological courtroom, where the man is always on trial, and she plays the role of the wronged goddess. Freud already pointed it out. There is a certain pleasure that arises from one's own suffering. And it's exactly this twisted pleasure that fuels the woman who lives in the role of the victim. She feeds on pity, on empathy, on attention, as if these emotions were fuel to keep alive an identity shaped by unprocessed trauma. She doesn't want companionship. She wants someone to act as emotional glue to hold together her internal fractures. And the naive man, thinking he's doing good, tries to be her safe harbor, offers patience, presence, affection. But the more he gives, the more she demands, and it's never enough. Her structure doesn't thrive on healing. It feeds on repetition. The experienced man already knows this woman doesn't want to resolve anything. She wants to relive it. The abandonment, the rejection, the drama, all over again with a new stand-in. A new emotional fool willing to play along with a script she refuses to let go. She's not looking for a relationship. She's looking for a symbolic stage to dramatize old wounds. The absent father, the fear of being forgotten, the scars of childhood. And if a man isn't paying attention, he becomes just another prop in her drama. She doesn't communicate, she accuses. She doesn't open up, she manipulates. Everything revolves around her. Nothing is her responsibility. Any mistake becomes gaslighting. Any boundary is control.
This dude right here is good. He's good. Now he's good. He's good. So he was talking about basically how you can't resolve nothing with them. They're irreconcilable. You can't, dude. Their problem is inside, not you. What they do is they'll hunt for reasons to say that you're the problem. Not paying your bills on time, not like this stuff, that's not the real problem. The real problem is on the inside of them. They always felt rejected. They never felt loved. So when you came along and tried to love them, it became, like he said, a battleground, a courtroom. This is female nature, man. And the unicorns are the ones who learned how to master theirs. Learned from their mistakes. Those sort of things make a woman a good woman or a unicorn. All the rest, you just gonna be wasting your time. Like he said, they don't want to be a companion, which goes against what the Bible said their whole purpose is, to be a helper and a companion. So, Big Parks, all the rest of y'all, this why y'all girl doing what they do. This why they do what they do. And if you try to love them, you through. We gotta be like, dude, remember that one? If I'd have to tell you one more time, you through. I know everybody that's seen it.
Any boundary is control. Any no is
Any
emotional
boundary is
abandonment.
control.
The experienced man spots the pattern early on, in the very first conversations. He doesn't dive in, he watches. He sees the repetition in her words, the chronic resentment, the unresolved...
Oh my goodness.
And then, with the clarity of someone who's already learned enough, he simply says, "No, this woman isn't looking for love. She seeks symbolic justice against every man who ever hurt her."
Exactly. And it ain't had nothing to do with you. So, when you, like he keeps saying, the experience, man, like a lot of this stuff, I didn't, remember how I always tell y'all I didn't see in the beginning. Like, I didn't see, but now I could think back on all my relationships and just point that out, like I could be just like this, because I'm more experienced now. And that's why you need to be hearing from like guys trying to disqualify guys, but I've been married longer than all of y'all. And I done been on that roller coaster for a long time. I'm not saying I'm the only one that know, and some dudes that ain't even been married, but they gain wisdom because they, like he said, they experienced men. See, experienced men in this space, they ain't even necessarily have to ever been married. This is why Myron knows some things. When you an experienced man, and y'all know I don't really care for Myron like that, but the truth is the truth. I care for the truth. Myron be on some stuff sometime, but he be telling the truth sometimes too, because we become what he called experienced men. That's how you got dudes in this space that ain't never even been married, but be cooking. Straight cooking. Chef. And I don't know if he been married, but this dude is cooking on this video.
She seeks symbolic justice against every man who ever hurt her. No man comes out of a relationship with her unharmed.
Nope.
Because for her...
So you think, the guys be thinking they rockin' sockin', wanting to compare penises and all this other stuff and act like they more of a man than the last man. But you gonna get harmed by her too. That's what he's saying. You think you gonna come out of this unscathed? Listen, man, she ain't changed. So when you get with her, she gonna be the same or worse.
Every relationship is an emotional war with a script already written.
Yeah.
That's why the lucid man walks away. He doesn't try to fix her. He doesn't get emotional.
I'm gonna show y'all the definition.
He doesn't take on the role of savior. He's already learned. There's no reward in symbolic sacrifice for a woman who doesn't want to be healed.
Man,
she wants to be worshipped for her wounds. The second face of this profile is the woman who
I can't do this, I can't do that,
but lives on the edge of collapse. She speaks loudly, walks as if she owns the world, recites empowerment mantras, but inside she's broken, empty, fragile. Her narcissism is nothing more than symbolic makeup, masking a deep emotional panic. She needs to be seen, desired, validated. The image she projects has become more important than any real connection. She doesn't love each, she collects reactions.
This is why dudes is dying over these broads, man. What he just said.
The man to her is not a subject. He's an audience, a mirror, an emotional trampoline meant to support an ego on the verge of collapse.
On my travels, I've met a lot of digital nomads who've been able to find careers that allow them to travel while working full-time.
Trampoline meant to support an ego on the verge of collapse. Freud made it clear, narcissism is not an excess of self-love. It's a desperate attempt to protect a self that never fully formed. This woman lives to feed that false self. And if you don't idolize her, she feels invisible, as if she ceases to exist. The inexperienced man believes he's with a strong, confident, seductive woman. He thinks he's found someone powerful, but what he doesn't realize is that he's simply holding a fragile symbolic construction. A character that needs constant attention to avoid falling apart.
Yep.
She tests, manipulates, provokes, all with a single goal, to make sure you're still orbiting around her. Because if you stop looking, stop responding, stop giving in, she collapses.
And this why some of them, they won't leave.
He sees
But
that
she's
her
shooting
whole
her
strong
arrows through
woman
his heart.
posture is just disguised desperation. He knows her empowerment can't survive a no, a silence, or symbolic rejection. This type of woman requires constant emotional maintenance. She's like an emotional void that can never be filled.
Never.
She needs to be desired at all times, not for love, but for psychic survival. When contradicted, she crumbles. When ignored, she breaks down. When rejected, she attacks. And the man who doesn't understand this ends up becoming an emotional nurse to a wound that refuses to heal. She doesn't want a real relationship. She wants a stage, a place to be worshipped. And if you try to love her for real, she destroys you.
Oh my goodness. If you try to love her for real, she destroys you. How many, dude? I know multiple people. When I'm playing this, when I'm talking about this, I'm not pinpointing no particular one. It's many stories, many things I observe, many things I know.
Because real love requires vulnerability, and all she knows how to offer is image.
Vulnerability. But all they care about is image. This is when, now I'm going to talk about my situation. This is when the finances break down and they don't want to go back to work. If this is going in slow motion, y'all. So if we got to do a part 2, we will. If it cuts off. Let me hold on 1 second. Make sure my device is cooling off. When it start doing that, it's gonna shut off. But I'm not done. I'm gonna react to this whole video. So this is when they try to hold on to original agreements when change is needed.
And all she knows how.
And like he said, the experienced man, the inexperienced man, I was trying to be like my father, thinking that a woman should not have to work and all that. They shouldn't have to, they should want to. Because they supposed to be teaming up. They should, and like Dr. BOA, like, for y'all that think y'all getting all these dudes, a lot of these dudes do not agree with y'all. Dr. BOA said, if you better be doing something, and he not the only one. He not, listen, y'all not getting the majority of the dudes that y'all would like, because they not finna deal with your mess.
And all she knows how to offer is image. The experienced man isn't fooled.
Stay-at-home mom.
The emotional makeup. He recognizes the wounded
This, that, and the other.
hiding behind the performance. He knows no compliment is enough.
No compliment.
No affection satisfies.
No affection. Stop talking about affection. Oh, you
That's
ain't
why
give
he
me no
wants it.
affection.
The third face of this profile.
Now let's talk about this affection thing. When they say you ain't giving them enough affection, your mind's supposed to remember all the time they rejected your affection. So I was told that the affection was brought up. But the fact of the matter is, on many occasions, turned the other way, moved away, acted attitude when I tried to give affection. So after a while, I looked at it like, man, so that affection is just one of the excuses they use not to resolve issues, so on and so forth. And to make themselves look not
That's why
guilty.
he walks away. The third face of this profile is the woman who preaches independence,
Independent.
but tries to control everything around her.
Yeah.
She says she doesn't need a man. Yet from the very first date, she tries to set the rhythm, the tone, the roles, and even the script of the relationship.
Yeah.
This
You
woman has learned to hide her.
This is when they give ultimatums, when they doing what he talking about right here. You don't stop doing this, I'm gonna. That's what
and
it
security
basically
behind a facade
talking.
of autonomy. She shouts that she's free, but can't handle anything that escapes her control. Any spontaneous action from the man unsettles her.
This is when they try to punish you in family court. What he talking about right here.
Any unpredictability hurts her.
Any
Freud already
unpredictability
pointed that out.
hurts.
An excessive need for control is always a symptom. No one tries to dominate others when they are emotionally at peace. She controls because she's terrified of her own inner chaos.
Now this right here, I see what he's saying, but when you deal with these women, you're supposed to be the dominant one. Peace or none. But I see what he's saying though. I get what he's saying. He's saying that when you at peace, you know how to do it.
And she'll do anything to keep that chaos from spilling into the relationship. She disguises possession as organization, manipulation as care, jealousy as concern, and the man who doesn't see
Manipulation
through the
as
behind
care.
the words ends up trapped in a relationship where spontaneity is punished and freedom is perceived as a threat. The woman who claims to be independent in practice demands constant emotional accountability. She wants to know why you took so long, who liked your photo, the tone of your voice, your last message. Everything needs to be under her radar, because anything that slips beyond her control threatens the illusion she's built to keep herself safe. The naive man thinks this is love.
Little
thinks
Miss
it's
Tough
intensity,
Girl.
devotion, involvement. But the experienced man knows this is symbolic suffocation.
Yes.
It's the attempt to neutralize the other.
Double standard.
Finds joy in a great deal. He can't wait to see you again at Culver's.
I can't wait to see you again, Kobe.
Favorite? This new crispy chicken.
To neutralize the other, to erase the partner's individuality,
Yeah.
turning into an extension of her own symptom.
Oh,
She doesn't want partnership.
No,
She wants submission in disguise.
yeah. She wants you to submit to her.
From the man is seen as rebellion, betrayal, or disrespect. Deep down, she's not looking for a man. She's looking for an obedient mirror
Obedient
that keeps
mirror.
her world predictable and under control. This kind of profile suffocates, erodes, weakens. It turns the relationship into a symbolic prison, where the man lives as a hostage to daily validations.
Daily,
And any
yeah.
deviation from the pre-written script leads to collapse. If he doesn't follow her script, he becomes the villain. She accuses him of abandonment, coldness, or misogyny. But
I've been accused of all three. Abandonment, coldness. Look, what I'm supposed to do. Let me ask anybody that would try to say when I moved to Arizona. And keep in mind, this is what he talking about on this video. I offered all of them to go. I'm like, look, obviously, clearly she wants another man. She doesn't want me. I'm a mature man, like he said. I'm an experienced man. I know when I'm wanted and when I'm not. I offered, I say, well, look, we can all go do our own thing. You know, you do your own thing, and we raise these girls together. I ain't going to Arizona. I ain't going there. So what's gonna happen? I got two options. Either I'll be a simp and stay here sleeping on the couch and messing my legs up, been on there for years, or and paying the bills to sleep on the couch. Most people, they sleep on the couch when they only spending the night. Paying the bills to sleep on the couch. That's why, if they, hey, listen, I'll pay them when I feel like it. If I don't, I won't. So, but they all decided, other than one of my daughters, that they don't want to go to Arizona. So what should I do? Should I go back to working correctional jobs where I'm getting micromanaged? If I'm gonna get micromanaged on a correction job, then guess what? I don't like the cold. So I'm gonna go down there in Arizona in the hot weather and deal with it. Sleeping on the couch, go, what I'm gonna do? Cause DoorDash is all right, but it's not Arizona or Texas or any of these bigger markets. And the gig work is okay, but it's not like being here trying to do that is basically a limitation, because you making half of what you would make in a city like Phoenix, Scottsdale, Arlington, Texas even, which ain't even that big, Dallas, Texas. I mean, so let me get this straight. The foreigners got the business on lock. They got the businesses by the balls. Black people really don't like each other, so you might get a couple of them, but you ain't gonna get much. The white people don't buy nothing from us here. So what I'm supposed to do? Be broke to stay here with these relationships in passing? Sleep on the couch? That's what I'm supposed to do? All right, watch this. Don't intro. Gotcha. And people, oh, he abandoned. Man, you dumb. Some of these people just dumb. We gotta realize this, man. All these people that talk and run in their mouth ain't smart people. They dumb. I done had people try to argue with me on subject that I know what I'm talking about. And when they get cooked, you just this. You just think you know. Just like she said that. You think you know everything. I know I don't know everything. But if I know something, you getting cooked. Simple as that. That's how people be, man.
If he doesn't follow her script, he becomes the villain. She accuses him of abandonment, coldness, or misogyny.
Misogynist.
But the experienced man
So I'm misogynist because I want some. I'm misogynist because I'm talking about what's going on when it comes to these women. So anytime you tell the truth, people got some type of label. That's what he's talking about, man.
He feels the emotional trap forming. He sees the desperation for control dressed up as maturity. And he understands. She doesn't want a relationship. She wants an emotional hostage situation masked as freedom.
Yep, and she gonna get clapped eventually if you don't leave.
Doesn't try to convince, doesn't negotiate with the symptom. Because he's already learned. No sincere gesture is enough for someone who's turned love into a battlefield.
Somebody that turned love. Let's go back. Watch what he's saying again.
Control dressed up as maturity. And he understands. She doesn't want a relationship. She wants an emotional hostage situation masked as freedom. That's why he steps back. He doesn't argue. Doesn't try to convince. Doesn't negotiate with the symptom. Because he's already learned. No sincere gesture is enough for someone who's turned love into a battlefield. Where only she is allowed to win. The fourth layer.
Yep, where only she allowed to win. A turn love. Oh, I love you. Oh, you such a hard worker. Oh, you my soulmate. All that other stuff they say. They'll turn it into a battlefield where only she can win. You just want to argue. But when they talking blah, 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 blah. When it's you just want to argue. I don't want to hear that. I'm not finna talk about that. When it's them, blah, 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 blah. Turn love into, they got chose because love appeared to be present, but now they done turned it into a war ground. Better for a man to live on the roof than in a house with a contentious woman. And even if they ain't saying nothing, if they silence is passive aggression, then it's still contention.
The fourth layer of this profile is the woman who has turned her body into a symbolic weapon. She learned that being desired...
Turn it into a weapon. This is when they deny you sex. They turn the body, which could have been a tool, into a weapon. They denying you sex. These is the women who do it, who we talking about.
Feels safer than being loved. Because love demands vulnerability.
She
only knows how to exist within the game of strategic seduction.
Strategic seduction. When she want to do it. And sometimes they'll do it, and it's not that they want to do it. They doing it to shut you up. They doing it to get you back, pull you back in when you start pulling away. After they done denied you for months, even years sometimes.
She tests. She uses a man's desire as a thermometer for her own worth.
Yep.
If he reacts, she feels alive. If he pulls away, she attacks. Seduction has become her only emotional language. And that's why every connection with her is manipulated from the start. Freud spoke of the body as a
That's
territory
true.
of pleasure. But for this woman, pleasure is not in affection, it's in power, control, the game. She turns sex
These
into...
games been going on. Like going back to the beginning, all of that telling them to tell her, tell me she was asleep. I don't even know if she was even at home. She knows, I don't know. But I know that since I've known her, she never slept like that. So, who knows? But that was like a red flag that got missed.
A tool of domination, a form of symbolic blackmail. An emotional currency. She doesn't give herself out of desire, but out of a psychic need for reaffirmation.
Yeah,
She
oh
needs to
my
see the man
goodness.
surrender. She needs to feel she
Yeah.
can provoke, trap, dominate. Only then does she believe she still holds value. The inexperienced man thinks he's found a sexually liberated partner. But the experienced man sees through the performance. He sees behind the seductive act a soul that cannot sustain any real connection. She doesn't seek affection, she seeks control. She swings between coldness and warmth.
Dude is cooking. He cooking.
Swings between coldness and warmth, promiscuity and indifference, interest and contempt.
Promiscuity and indifference. This is when the affairs happen.
All with
This is when she starts, hook me up, hook me up. We need to have a party.
one purpose, to keep the man off balance. She doesn't love, she stages domination.
Yeah.
Any attempt at emotional closeness is mocked.
Mocked.
Acts of care become a joke.
Yeah.
Romantic gestures are ridiculed, as if to love is to be weak. Because the only kind of connection she knows is one where she has total control of the lucid.
Yep, so what she'll do, what these type of women will do is they'll pull the same stuff that they pulled on you on the next dude. And see, because that's the only strategy they know. They all gonna have one strategy, whatever it is. And if he falls for it, then good luck to him. She gonna tell him that she gonna minimize her actual sexual activity. She's gonna paint herself to be classier than she is. She's gonna say she believes that they were meant to be together and all this other stuff. That's what they do. They'll keep pulling it until they get whatever it is they looking for. And if the dude ain't giving them exactly what they looking for or close to it, they gonna start doing him the same way. No sex. Always some type of excuse.
The lucid man doesn't bow. He sees the symbolic inversion. He understands that her body is being used as a shield to hide a deep emotional void. For her, sex is not exchange. It's theater. It's tactic. It's trench warfare. This woman is unlikely to love, not because she's incapable biologically.
Unlikely to love,
Doesn't allow it.
but always talking about it.
She equates love with fragility and would rather dominate than surrender. That's why the
Yep. Rather dominate than surrender. They disregard wives be subject to your own husband. That ain't nothing to them. Look, this what they do. The Most High hand them the Bible. They move it away and then just do whatever they want.
conscious man walks away. He doesn't try to melt the ice with affection. He doesn't believe that love fixes everything.
Nope.
He simply leaves
To
because
business.
he's already understood. Sex without
He
truth,
simply
without
leaves.
connection, without symbolic reciprocity, is just emotional servitude with orgasm. And the last trait
Oh
is
my
the most
goodness.
subtle.
I gotta play that again, yo.
Love is to be weak, because the only kind of connection she knows is one where she has total control, but the lucid man doesn't bow. He sees the symbolic inversion. He understands that her body is being used as a shield to hide a deep emotional void. For her, sex is not exchange. It's theater. It's tactic. It's trench warfare.
It's a tactic.
This woman is unlikely to love, not because she's incapable biologically, but because her psychic structure doesn't allow it. She equates love with fragility and would rather dominate than surrender. That's why the conscious man walks away. He doesn't try to melt the ice with affection.
So in other words, once you wake up, he'll walk away.
He simply leaves.
These the
Because
dudes
it's
that
already
foul.
understood. Sex without truth, without connection, without symbolic reciprocity, is just emotional servitude with orgasm.
Emotional
And the
servitude
last
with
trait is the
orgasm.
most subtle. The woman who presents herself as strong, determined, mature, but inside she cries out for comfort, guidance, and protection. She doesn't want a partner. She wants a symbolic father. Someone who takes responsibility for the internal chaos she herself can't organize. She camouflages her dependence with speeches about autonomy. She talks about freedom, empowerment, self-sufficiency, but she expects the man to guess everything, solve everything, lead everything, because inside, she is still the child who commands desire. Freud showed that many unconscious desires are regressive, and there are women who live in permanent emotion, without symbolic...
And let me say this, these dudes, oh, I'll put it in her stomach, oh, I got a big D. Let me tell you something. If you don't understand female nature, you're going to be like, I was just telling somebody about this dude that was walking around telling grown men, other men, and people, I got a 12-inch, but it was crying like a little punk over the phone. And I got on him, man. I got on him, so my guy was laughing when I was telling him. I was doing this. I said, if your 12 inches you putting in your stomach really matter, then why you crying over this phone? She gonna do what she do. I got on his heels, man. Said she gonna do whatever she gonna do. No, I said they gonna do what they gonna do. He like, man, I gotta get on the phone. Just acting a fool, man. But he talking like he got control over these women. He don't understand female nature.
Symbolic reciprocity is just emotional servitude with orgasm. And the last trait is the most subtle. The woman who presents herself as strong, determined, mature, but inside she cries
I
out for
can
comfort,
get it
guidance,
all
and
in
protection.
here. I understand.
She doesn't want a partner. She wants a symbolic father. Someone who takes responsibility for the internal chaos she herself can't organize. She camouflages her dependence with speeches about autonomy. She talks about freedom, empowerment, self-sufficiency, but she expects the man to guess everything, solve everything, lead
He
everything.
came out of the
Because
elevator.
inside, she is still the child who commands desire. Freud showed that many unconscious desires are regressive,
Aggressive.
and there are women who live in permanent emotional regression. They want to be cared for, saved, protected, but hide this behind an adult language that confuses the
Pay my
inexperienced
bill.
man. She demands that her partner be strong, stable,
You gotta
present,
be a
present,
man.
but
Shut up.
offers nothing more than an insecure, reactive, and spoiled soul.
Oh my.
The relationship becomes a stage where the man needs to be everything at once. Father, therapist, provider, leader, and still romantic. The naive man tries. He takes on the role, becomes the
Naive
pillar, the
man.
shield, the
Yep.
savior.
When I was
But
naive.
soon he realizes that nothing is enough.
Nothing is
Because she
enough.
doesn't want partnership.
No.
She wants emotional guardianship. She wants to be led by the hand, but will never admit she's lost. She transfers all her anguish onto him. And when
I'ma
he fails,
find
because he
me a
is human,
better
he
man than
accuses him.
you.
You're not a real man. You
You're
can't
not a
handle
real
strong
man. You
woman.
can't handle a
You
woman
don't
like
know how to
me.
deal with intensity.
He
But
owns
the
something
truth
with
is
this.
different.
This is deep.
What she calls intensity is emotional disorganization.
Yeah.
What she calls strength is just a shell.
Yeah.
What she calls partnership is emotional dependence without accountability.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
experienced
Yeah.
man sees this quickly. He realizes he's dealing with someone who never emotionally left childhood. Someone who demands everything, gives little, and takes offense at any frustration.
And demands everything and gives little. Remember how I told y'all? Like, you got kids with a chick. What she do for them is separate from what she does for you. And you got to remind them of that sometimes.
That's why he doesn't play the game. He doesn't let himself be drained by a woman who wouldn't emotionally sustain herself alone for a month.
I know what it's like,
This woman
man.
idealizes men who
He said wouldn't emotionally sustain herself for a month. These is them women that they think the answer, I can't wait till you leave. When you leaving? But then when you leave, that other dude ain't you. And it may not even be another dude. Or it may be another dude that just came to get his nut off and he gonna move around. So how can a dude that just came to get his nut off just and watch this. You got orgasms with me, and I paid bills. I protected the house, this, that, and the other. So let me show you how dumb these women is. How can you say a dude is better just merely getting you to have orgasms, but he ain't doing nothing else? That's how dumb they is. You was having orgasm with your ex-husband. Look, they say, well, I wasn't getting it. You know why you stopped getting them? Because you were bitter and you were resentful, and y'all emotional creatures. So your emotions are tied to your orgasm as a woman. That's why they be saying that stuff, because the minute they start going wayward, they not gonna get off like they was. And then he'll get with somebody that emotionally like him, and she'll be, I ain't trying to be nasty, just for I could put 18 on her. But her is, man, that seemed dry. What's going on? You ain't want to do it? Sometimes that's the case with a lot of them. I know I'm right. Shame the devil in the comments. The same dude, you the same dude. Now it's, girl, he ain't. And she said, girl, he ain't good. Girl, he he ain't got it sexually. Then you get with somebody else. And some of them moans be real. But with her, Miss I Hate You, girl, Pookie Duke is way better than Pookie Duke Blocker. She got the same orgasm. It just was a little intensified because she liked him. And now you done moved on to a woman who like you. Girl, I think he gay. Girl, I think he be having erectile dysfunction. You done got with somebody else. Dun-dun-dun-dun. Wet. That's why I don't believe it was never intended for a guy to have one woman. If you got 3 wives and one of them tripping, she go in all the room, then she be like, the one that's tripping be on air on the door. Oh yeah, you the greatest. So now she be like, I gotta figure something out. But when she the only one, she get away with it.
This woman idealizes men who solve everything, but hates when they set boundaries, wants protection without authority,
If it shut off, I'm done,
structure
man. I got
without
it in.
hierarchy, comfort without having to obey. In other words, she wants the impossible. The lucid man doesn't accept this role. He already understands that a relationship where he has to be a symbolic father is a minefield. One wrong step, and she explodes. And love turns into guilt, debt, wear and tear. That's why he rejects without guilt. You need to understand, these traits are not random. They are psychic structures, unconscious repetitions of unresolved pain.
Okay, so let's look
unsettled
up
drives.
what lucid is, and then we're going to close this up. Wait a minute. Wait, hold on, y'all. Dude. That's why you can rarely believe anything they say. Let them tell they sister, they cousin, they friend, the new dude, whatever they want. while you be with the new woman like, you be like, oh man, this stuff good. Man, that's good. Oh, this good. I never thought I was getting. Like I tell y'all, man, if you can't handle the real, get away from over here. You're not finna turn me into them fake suit wearing dudes. I ain't them. They trying to be like me. Now they done loosen up like, oh, they accepting that. They listening to them. So now they loosening up. Lucid man. Express clearly. Easy to understand. Bright. The lucid man, the smart man, the enlightened man. That's what that's talking about. Like once you get to that point, man, all your shallow, docile relative, family, and friend gonna be saying you a deadbeat, you abandoned, you did every move you make. They're gonna criticize it because they not on the level of understanding that you are. F them. And with that being said, I wanna say F you to all these women that's dogging out these good guys that don't want to change, that you exactly who he talking about, and you just looking, you like the girl on Get Out. You looking for your next victim online, on social media, on a dating site. I hope they all do you like this.